All right, welcome to the end of Thursday, another kind of a non-event day, but something that we were able to pick up some things. First and foremost, we talked earlier this week about three stocks, bullish signals to cover for Wednesday. We did this Tuesday night, which was Wolf, which was up again today, Coinbase, Square, and I'm going to get to Square in just a second because it's in the fintech space along with, well, let's just give it to you right now, PayPal. In fact, we sent an alert out to buy PayPal today. We had ServiceNow. Those were the four stocks the other day. We were in a Hewlett-Packard trade, which we took profits on. And this morning we come out and we said, hey, here's the alerts. ECB lowered rates, three key rates. Bank of Canada lowered rates yesterday. I don't know if Jay Powell's got the chutzpah to come out and say, we're going to lower rates today. I don't think they will, but they'll probably, based on tomorrow's monthly unemployment number, if it comes in less than 187 of jobs created, if the headline number goes up to like 38, 39, something like that, I think maybe, and if wage components, hourly wages, and average work week is not hot, meaning more wages cost more, and they're working overtime. Maybe less people got hired, but that at the expense of people paying overtime. If the number comes in a little cooler, it starts to show that the Fed's got the right path and that the rest of the world's doing the same thing, and they can all move in lockstep and lower rates. If they don't do it tomorrow, at least he can telegraph at the press conference, hey, we're confident we can lower rates at the next meeting in July. The market will get a big boost from that, because now the Fed has been telegraphing that we could lower rates. The market priced in 6 rate cuts at the beginning of the year, which was ludicrous. Then it prognosticated only 3. Then Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan was going around saying inflation's out of control, the rates could go up to 6%. And now you got the rest of the world saying inflation's coming down, or the rate of inflation's coming down. Prices aren't really coming down great, but except for in the energy complex, because crude oil was at $75 a barrel right now. If the Fed transmits the concept that rates, they're more comfortable at the next meeting lowering rates, my 2 cents is simply this: it's going to allow money to start coming out of the 5 horsemen. NVIDIA, maybe perhaps people drove NVIDIA's valuations up and their price up because it's the only place to be, and they want to be in momentum. And then they want to be a part of the trade for the stock split, which takes place tomorrow, the 7th of June. So once that happens, perhaps we could see some downside. It's interesting about that concept because today, as I posted in the room, and I'll share this with you, and you can double check this yourself, but the June 21st, and again, that's about 2 weeks and 1 day from now. A lot can happen in 2 weeks in this market. Someone looks like they bought 3,300. Now, I did this at 10:51 in the morning. I found some unusual volume activity on the June 21st. But what was kind of interesting is that if you read through this, the July 19th, there was a little bit of more volume, more open interest. And then today, someone added another 343 contracts on the 1,000 strike puts. They traded 4,904 volume on 2,000 open interest. That's what that means. 2.1K, that's 2.1 thousand open interest. The 1,100 strike puts for the month of July, or the expiration of July 19th, today traded 46.94 on an open interest of 1,200. So it seems that the market's building some downside positions in NVIDIA, and whether or not they're looking for a major crash or a directional trade of $100, $150, I mean, even with a 15 delta option out of the money with that much time, theta, you're going to see a return of equity, maybe 25, 30%. So an option that might cost $1,000, if it goes up to $1,300, $1,400, I mean, most people would love to see that in a very short order. And if it happens by, let's say, Monday, Tuesday next week, it's exactly the kind of rate of return that you're looking for. The only way to lose that kind of money on an option that expires in July immediately is if the stock surges to the super intrinsic and goes beyond supernova, because I think it's supernova already. So I don't know what spectacular extra special supernova would be. Maybe $1,700 in the next 3 days. And I don't think that it's in the foreseeable future. So just to explain, what did this mean? We were looking at what is the possibility. Does anyone else other than John Person see downside? Is anyone taking a position to the downside in NVIDIA? And they're going out to July 19th. And again, the June 21st, a little bit on a spread. That's what we noted. Also, the market, there was a little bit of major volume divergence formed in Microsoft, but nothing for us to act on. Option volume alert on PayPal, July 19th, the 70 strike calls. There was 4,4800 volume at about $1.42. Now, if you look here, this is the post for the main chat room, and these are alerts that we send out. People can sign up for these alerts by coming into the trade room. I sent an email, so I was alerting people, hey, check your emails, because we went for a stock position in PayPal in today's action. So this morning, more importantly, there was an option alert. Now I'm already in Nike and at lower levels, but it was interesting to note, as soon as the European Central Bank cut rates, Nike got a bid. That's a consumer discretionary. There's been people saying stuff that OnCloud is taking market share from Nike. Maybe it had something to do with Lululemon suggesting that the athletic apparel wear was doing better. And maybe that had something to do with the initiation of Nike finally breaking out above I guess it hasn't been above 95 in a while, but in the June 21st, the 95 strike call, someone did 6,200 volume today. Now there's already a build of 15,000 open interest. So what you want to check to that is to see if that open interest declined. That means people were taking profit on the rally from buyers. If the open interest increases, it means people are adding to an upside position in Nike, more or less. Going out to September 20th, and this is where it gets interesting. This is a true unusual volume trade. This is what we're really looking after. 16,940 volume, and that was at 12:20 today with 3,500 open interest. Now, if you go down here, you'll notice Nike at 351. I wanted to just refresh everyone's memory that those September expiration 100 strike calls did 17,255. So from noon to literally 9 minutes before the close, they added another, say, 300 or so options to that position. So there's another one that I want to talk about is Cloudflare.net. That may be giving a daily buy signal. It has a bullish convergence patterns and PMC reading. So the last time, that's just the kind of the work that we've done around here today. And again, the harder we work, the luckier we get. Remember yesterday, I think I put out the video on Lulu. And I said, listen, Lulu has this, and I'll just expand this chart for you. You can see this is a primary low, a rally, a secondary low, just took everybody out of the trade. That may have been long, probably just got beat up. But the relative performance, the PMC indicator, when it made a lower low in price, did not make a weakening or a lower low in the PMC readings here, right? And the volume looks like a big, looks like a big double bottom, right? So this is a bullish convergence, and that's what we kind of look for. So for Lululemon, it had some good follow through the upside. So let's take a look at NET. Does NET look anything remotely like Lulu? A little bit, right? You got this lower secondary low and a higher volume, and the relative strength's improving. It's not as severe. It's not as significant because it's not over a massive major amount of time. It's just like from about the 9th of May to about the 31st. So a couple weeks. But it is a small convergence. It's only a one-day volume. So we're looking to see, maybe it's tomorrow. And my 2 cents is this. If the unemployment report comes out weaker than expected, it allows the Fed and the market to interpret that the Fed's going to lower interest rates. And if that's the case, money, and this is the rationality thinking, right now you've got NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple. Those three stocks are something like 22% of the cap weight of the market right now. Those three stocks. So if if a few funds, like maybe a little bit of Warren Buffett, maybe a little bit of David Tepper, maybe a little bit of Ackerman, they all get together, not because they're on the phone with each other laughing, saying, hey, let's manipulate the market. Maybe they're just all have the same kind of strategy, and they all want to put their money into those three names. They can make the market look better than it really is, right? And defensively, they could say, hey, I just want to be in those stocks. Now, I'm just, supposition. I don't have any proof to this, and I'm not a raging conspiracy theorist. But the how it works out is with those names having strong cap weight to the market, money, whether or not they believe in Apple can go up forever, whether they believe, it doesn't matter. It's just that their money is better suited in those names right now. And until other money comes off the sidelines, which isn't really under mattresses, it's in T-bills earning 5% yield. If rates go down, then stocks are more attractive relative to putting your money into T-bills, especially stocks that have been beaten up with an ugly stick that have come down in value. And that would be a company like Cloudflare in technology in the cybersecurity space. So perhaps if we do get a Federal Reserve that is a little bit more accommodative and is willing to at least telegraph they're going to lower interest rates, we might see beaten up stocks that make money, that have good potential earnings potential in clients and et cetera in business, and a need, which is Cloudflare. We should see some follow through. And if that's the case, a higher gap open tomorrow might be met with a situation where it gaps higher and keeps going. We haven't really seen that in a while, but this would be the condition that if we gap higher, you may want to buy a partial position and add to it based on those. And I'll, again, update the YouTube video channels. This is PayPal. What I'm sharing about PayPal, one of the things that I like about PayPal for a long time is something weird is going on with PayPal. The relative strength's been getting a little bit better. We had a daily buy signal. It didn't really go anywhere, but the volume started to improve. This is the momentum of the volume, and this is the performance from on-balance volume. Clearly, there's something going on because the volume trend has been leading price, and now we may have a new high in volume. Relative performance is increasing, and we haven't taken out the highs. So my 2 cents is perhaps PayPal has an opportunity to get a little bit more traction. Let's look at the weekly analysis. The weekly analysis shows that even though it hasn't gone anywhere, no one's really been interested in it. Is that because rates were cheap and the market went up? Rates were expensive and the market went down. So if rates are perceived to go down, perhaps maybe PayPal in the financial technology fintech space might find some more traction. This is the PPS buy signal. And again, I will point out that this is also an indicator available on Charles Schwab's Thinkorswim, as many of you know. Now, this is not Friday. What is that arrow there for? It's there because it's warning you that if we close here or higher on Friday, which is tomorrow, then it's going to generate that buy signal. So it's warning you now that volume is improving, it's getting less negative, and PayPal, not like it's, it really hasn't gone anywhere. It's bored people to death. Nobody paying attention to it because they're all watching NVIDIA, Apple, Tesla. It's in the news every single day, and no one's paying attention to stupid old PayPal. And I get it. But let's remind you of one other market that we did take a decent position in. Same story. Who the hell give a rat's ass about eBay? Wasn't moving, but we had a PPS buy signal. The volume started to improve. The relative volume performance, the momentum started to get better. And guess what? Someone all of a sudden started to really care on eBay. And it was good for, as you can see clearly, we went from 42 in about a month straight up to 52. Not a bad rate of return. So it just proves that you don't have to put all your eggs into NVIDIA. There are other opportunities. But we need to see participation, and we need to see a reason for people to get off the sidelines. Maybe their T-bills are expiring soon, and maybe if they're not going to get out of their T-bills and break a T-bill because they haven't matured yet. But if they all went into NVIDIA for the wrong reason, if they all went into Apple for the wrong reason, if everyone went into all these other stocks for the wrong reason, as you can clearly see, there's other opportunities out there in the marketplace. So that's the explanation, and that's what I wanted to share with you is that what do these indicators do for us? How do I use these indicators to spot some of these opportunities? So the other day we mentioned 4 stocks for you. One was called Wolf, right? Let's get up and see what it's done since. I mean, it's double check. It was here it is, crypto space. Wolf, not a big deal, up almost 13% today. Well, we put this out to you because the relative performance and the volume, they were getting ahead of their trade, and it just exploded. Now, again, if this was a $2,000 stock the other day, right? $2,000 stock, it's a $3,000 stock. So it's up 30%. And we posted this gave this to your attention when it was around 250 at the end of, again, Tuesday night. Wednesday open, traded higher, and now this is Thursday's performance. So it really did get a nice movement to the upside. So it really blasted off. All right, the other one that we put out was Coinbase, COIN. What did Coinbase do? High close doji. Yeah, not as great as Wolf in terms of percentage, but seriously, a nice being on the right side of the market provided a nice profit. End of story. All right, what about Square? That's Jack Dorsey's company. It has, I think, 4 companies under its umbrella. I think it's called WeBuilt. It's a wallet, like kind of a wallet program for crypto. He has a music component that's trying to compete against, I think, Spotify. But Square, as everyone knows, or Block, as he renamed his company, is the little devices that individual companies use, self-employed people might use to do transactions and bring in, of course, receipt payments. So if the little guy is going to do better, why would he do better? If interest rates come down, right, then the theory is that we start to see a loosening in a monetary system a little bit and not so stringent restriction. And if that's the case, maybe small businesses can do a little bit better in the retail. After all, in Square, again, it's been in a monthly buy, hasn't gone anywhere, bored everyone to death. It's not in the news every day at all, ever. And the long-term monthly, someone seems to have liked buying it and acquiring us around 74. They haven't gotten out of it. That's the monthly volume right there, those green histogram bars. The weekly, no one's really been buying it, right? And the daily is starting to show some improvement. Today, we generated a buy. So Square, again, it hasn't really gone very far, very fast. It was one that I gave you on the other day. It looked like it was improving its relative performance. It did go up $1 or $2, not a big deal. I'm not going to brag about it by any stretch of the imagination. The fourth one was ServiceNow. And that stock absolutely had a nice little, it backed off a little bit today, 95 whole cents. From the time the market opened up and gave you a chance to buy it at 681, it's up $20. So again, there's some rhyme or reason when we look at these indicators. It's not about the PPS buy or a high closed doji, and the difference is that's a blue candle, right? That cross, that's an orange candle. That orange candle means it's a high closed doji, and it's a color coded warning sign that we programmed for TradeStation. But it's not just the price action, it's the condition action, and the relative performance is improving. It went from red to fuchsia, and the volume improved. It went from red to green. So that's what we're kind of looking for: improvement in relative strength and improvement in volume, and see if we can get the roadmap of the hidden buyers or sellers in the market. So now let's take a look at Microsoft and say, well, would you suspect people are looking to sell Microsoft one day? And the only thing I could suspect there is that nobody's willing to buy it up here right now. We fill the gap in Microsoft. No one's really excited about buying it as the volume starts to weaken, price goes up. I mean, that's not a warm and fuzzy for being uber bullish, right? I'm not saying that it's in a buy mode right now. It's got a little bit more work to do before it rolls over and dies, but the weekly volume doesn't look impressive to me at these highs right now. It doesn't mean that Microsoft won't go to like 500 or 600 in the next couple months, or by the end of the year. But the odds are it might have a reset. One or two things that have to happen. market price is going to come down, or volume has new buyers, more buyers have to come in, and people have to add to their trade, and you're going to get better, stronger volume near and breach those highs. That's all that suggests. So what about NVDA? NVIDIA. Ironic that NVIDIA made a newer high today, and we have a bearish divergence, meaning the market made a newer high and the volume went negative relative to the prior high. So that's kind of a condition that says, gee, the market is vulnerable. There aren't a lot of people willing to want to stay long on new rally highs. That's that makes the market vulnerable. And then when you look on the daily charts, you'll notice that we've been rallying here. So after the earnings and after everything's been out and then the split and people are excited, a lot of times people will just buy it because they want to be ahead of the split. And then when the split happens, what do? Maybe they sell half their position. So if someone bought 100 shares of NVIDIA and they turn and sell 50 of it, right? And you have people that bought it down here and they sell half their position up here, it's going to find some relative weakness because there's going to be less buyers and more sellers, right? So price might come in. So if everyone is buying it up at the high to take advantage of the split and they intend to sell a portion after the split, that might explain why we saw volumes increase going further out in time to the downside with puts. All right. That would be what we see for the heads of the five family. And then finally, Apple, which we did note the other day that someone bought some 195, 190 bear put spreads. And those were the June 21st expiration. Maybe they're not looking much for the Worldwide Developers Conference out on Monday. I don't think Apple's going to come out and say, yeah, we really haven't produced anything. We don't do much. And you shouldn't invest in us. No, they're not going to say that. They're going to be out. We're excited. We've got all the stuff out there and for the developers and you guys in artificial intelligence are going to be just pumping it all up. But if they don't pump it and sell it super duper hard, here's the interesting, ironic part about Apple. It made a newer high and the relative performance to the market started to weaken. That's that dark blue. Now, the momentum of the volume, while volume on balance, volume has gone up. Okay, great. Market's gone up too. The momentum, the percent change of the volume has been weakening. So it kind of gives me the idea that not too many people are really convinced that it's going to stay up here and go straight to 200. Again, it's vulnerable for a pullback. Not a great one. Maybe it is only going to come to like 190, 192, something like that. And the purchaser of the bear put spreads will walk away. They didn't buy deep out of the money puts. They're not looking for a major crash. They're looking for a reasonable pullback, right back to where it started from earlier in the week. And that's all I could suggest there. So for tomorrow, Friday, we've got the monthly unemployment report, 2 game plans. If we get a really strong number, 2 things are going to happen. My humble opinion, you're going to get a lot of stocks that's going to be disappointing, and the heads of the five family, the mega cap names, are going to still stay up because they're considered to be a defensive name. Microsoft isn't going down. They're not going out of business, but Estee Lauder probably won't do well, right? Six Flags Great America probably won't do well. That's right here, Six Flags. So again, the weak stuff will stay weak and the strong stuff will stay strong if conditions remain the same. However, if we get a weakening number, my guess is stuff like Cloudflare might recover, and watch for gap higher, and we could see a market, at the very least, a return to where we started from, which was $75 in Cloudflare. Fortinet is another one in this space, and I'm sure everyone's familiar with Fortinet. If you're a golfer, they do I think it's an amateur, a pro-am tournament. Fortinet sponsors. It's I think it was in, if I'm not mistaken, Reno. It was the Fortinet sponsored classic. I think it is Pro-Am Classic. This has not had a very good volume pattern. They've been kind of liquidating this up here since 72, and it's at 59. The short term is starting to see some relative improvement. And that's a good sign. We have this little thing here, that orange above blue. So it did generate a high closed doji. The only bad news about Fortinet that I would tell you is it doesn't have that really strong conviction of a bullish convergence, both in the volume pattern and the relative strength. Relative to Cloudflare, NET has that improvement of relative strength and the volume. So my 2 cents from a technical perspective, I'd be more prone to buy a higher gap, a small position, or look at some options on good news with the unemployment report, which good news for the unemployment report would be a softening number, is my interpretation. And then if it is, and it gaps higher, I don't think this is going to just gap and fail. It's going to gap and go. And because it's so cheap right now. And with that bullish volume convergence, that's like a springboard. Don't look for a pullback. It's going to take off kind of without you. And that's the kind of analysis that I see would be helpful. Tesla, let's cover a little bit of the heads of the 5 family. I think Tesla's dropped out of the heads of the 5 family category. Jokingly, I referenced that from The Godfather, right? So Michael Corleone takes over and he says, I'm going to take care of all the heads of the 5 families right after Pop's funeral, right? Or right after the baptism, right? So right after baptism, he just eliminates the competition, so to speak. The heads of the 5 family. It's Meta. The heads of the 5 family. It's Meta. It's Apple. It's NVIDIA. It's Microsoft. I guess, we've got a couple others you could call Eli Lilly, throw Lilly in there. But it's not Tesla, because Tesla has not participated in the move, but it just hasn't moved. Look at this. Since almost March, it's been sideways. This is one that it's a hard read. It had a daily high closed doji today. The relative strength didn't really produce anything. The volume didn't really do much. And it just maybe some short. So maybe someone sold it and they cover it. And they go long and they get out, and they go short and they get out. And that's sideways range. It's garbage. A lot of this news on Tesla is about the pay package they're going to give or not give to Elon Musk. So, I mean, as far as anything else is concerned, I think that the unemployment report, people are really looking forward to seeing if the Fed has the chutzpah to follow suit with the European Central Bank, help the United States government, who is like servicing debt like there's no tomorrow because of the high interest rates. And high interest rates are also hurting consumers who have to pay down credit card debt, hurting consumers who want to get a mortgage, but the mortgage rates are a little high. And so people aren't getting out of existing homes. They're not doing any transaction. And meanwhile, that's new home construction. So on that point, what does Etsy do for a business model? They sell a lot of stuff like art decoration stuff, handmade stuff. A lot of artists will make stuff, or you can buy maybe antiques or something like that. It's a little bit different of a model than, say, eBay. And but it's stuff that goes in your house, right? You would put stuff. So if you bought a new home, what goes in your home? A big screen TV, right? So first and foremost, if you're married, I don't want to sound like a stereotype slob, but one of the positions that we took in our newsletter was, in fact, on Best Buy. Because what goes into a house? By the way, let's double check something here. I love this pattern. That's called a bullish convergence on my volume indicator. See, new lower low, and then the market goes up, and you have a wild reversal with the relative performance improving, and then earnings, and then gaps and goes, right? So we were long on this particular stock. But bottom line, the reason I share this with you is you buy a new house, what goes in it? Well, if you're married, first thing is you ask your wife, what do we want, right? So the wife isn't going to say, yeah, go get yourself an 85 screen, big screen TV and soup up a man cave for yourself. No, she's going to say window treatments. We're doing window treatments. We're buying pillow shams because we have to have a pretty bedroom. And then when I'm done doing the stuff that we need in our house, then you can go to Best Buy and possibly buy something in an entertainment system. I'm just throwing that out. And when you get done having all that done, let me have the remote control when I need it. So after that, stuff gets like maybe you need to decorate a little bit more. So you would either go to put furniture in the house, and maybe they use Wayfair, or maybe they don't. Maybe they go to TJ Maxx and also look at stuff, and that's why TJ Maxx had such, and look for bargains. But ETSY might also find some value in this outlook that I'm giving. Technically speaking, it's actually improving. So again, interest rates come down, that might help some of this in the home building and the peripheral home building sector of what when you get a house, what goes in the house kind of thing. So that's Etsy might also have a little bit of esoteric or off the chart, so to speak, buy. But it was interesting to note that volume was almost near its average 10-day volume on Etsy. Nike exceeded its 10-day average volume. It does 9 million a day. It did 10 million today. So it was just not a fluke that it went up on thin volume. No, people were in there buying, but people have been in there buying. They just added to it on greater volume than they have over the last 10 days. And that's kind of the gist of things. Halliburton today was up. Halliburton wasn't just up a little bit. Halliburton was up maybe on a little bit of short covering because they really pounded it down. But it was also up today on greater by 30% of its average 10-day volume. So that was maybe 10 million versus 7 million. So that's kind of the things that I also like to spot and bring to your attention. What went up on good volume? 69 million versus 65 in Tesla. Did form a high closed doji. Here's the deal. If interest rates come down, do people get better financing buying a new car from Tesla? The answer is yeah, maybe. So perhaps that's anything that was be interest rate sensitive. Maybe that's what we saw a bid, or at the very least, people maybe covered some shorts, and it makes it vulnerable for more run to the upside. So that's kind of how we use the indicators in here, not only to look for buy signals, but its relative strength and tracking the volume. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope I gave you a solid message. By the way, let's last and not least say, well, what is the condition of the market? I've been kind of a bull since late October on small cap growth. Interest rates come down, then small cap has an upside move. End of story. As far as NASDAQ related items, we made a new high and a bearish divergence on the AD breadth line. That would suggest maybe we have an opportunity for a rotation move. What about the S&P 500? It could go either way. Today's advanced decline, only 200 stocks were positive on today's move. And we did make a newer high, an all-time high. So the news is going to say, hey, new highs in the market. But the condition of the new high was led with a deterioration in the advanced decline. So if someone says, oh, the breadth is widening in the market, they don't know what they're talking about, or I don't see what they're talking about, because over time, since we had the peak in the advanced decline comp ratio line, which was made on May 15th, the breadth, how many stocks go up in day cumulatively from one day to the next, has deteriorated, gone down. How is the market going up? Heads of the 5 family. So if the heads of the 5 families can come down a little bit and give a chance and money move into everywhere else, the advanced decline would go up, and that would be a healthier rally, and I'd be a happier camper knowing that some of this lower tiered stuff, like maybe your Nike, maybe an Estee Lauder, in fact, might have a chance to recover and make money. And since, like, for example, an Estee Lauder, which was just at 150, it goes down to 123. If it's in a trading range and it goes back up to 150, that's a hell of a rate of return in a very short order if all of this stuff works out. So keep posted. There's some great opportunities there. And with opportunities for making money, there's always that risk of loss. So I like to, when I put something out, I want to follow it up with you, see where we've gone with that. And certainly will be the case with watching Cloudflare, and then specifically Nike, because that was a good move today on Nike with some pretty decent volume. Have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you over the weekend on an update YouTube video. Thank you. And by the way, if you like what you hear, give me a like. If there's comments in there, you say, John, cut this short, cut this out, improve this, do that. I'll take constructive criticism any day. And that's the bottom line. I'm here to help you and share with you what works for me and what I look at and what gives me an edge in the market. That's all I'm doing, and that's all I'm trying to help explain for you guys. Thanks again. Have a great evening.